Good morning, tribe. It is 4 a.m. West Coast time, 7 a.m. East Coast time, and 6 a.m. Central time. So I wondered if I would make it to my own live this morning, but I made it, and I'm happy to be here, grateful to be alive, and I hope I'm catching you all live before you go into work. So I have prepared. It's really supposed to be a YouTube video, but I'm going to upload it to YouTube later. What is this? This is my first time going live too, so bear with me. Good morning. Good morning. I'm going to pray a protection over this live so we don't get cut out, because I've tried to record this like not live a few times and it was just not working out, so that's why I decided to go live. So I'm going to pray Psalm 91 before we get started. He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God, in Him I will trust. Surely He shall deliver you from the snare of the fowler and from the perilous pestilence. He shall cover you with His feathers, and under His wings you shall take refuge. His truth shall be your shield and buckler. You shall not be afraid of the terror by night, nor of the arrow that flies by day, nor of the pestilence that walks in darkness, nor of the destruction that lays waste at noonday. 1,000 may fall at your side, and 10,000 at your right hand, but it shall not come near you. Only with your eyes shall you look and see the reward of the wicked, because you have made the Lord, who is my refuge, even the Most High, your dwelling place. No evil shall befall you, nor shall any plague come near your dwelling, for He shall give His angels charge over you, to keep you in all your ways. In their hands they shall bear you up, lest you dash your foot against a stone. You shall tread upon the lion and the cobra, the young lion and the serpent you shall trample underfoot. Because He has set His love upon me, therefore I will deliver him. I will set him on high, because he has known my name. He shall call upon me, and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him. With long life I will satisfy him and show my salvation. Okay, so amen. Psalms 91, just to protect the life. Okay, so I'm going to start with some announcements. This is the book of the month for TikTok tribe. You guys probably, or you ladies don't know probably that I have a book of the month. It's this one. It's not the actual Song of Solomon that's in the Bible. It's not exactly like that. It's like a study, and I don't think I can finish this within 1 month. Like, look at this. 245 pages of this. I'm going to read some of this to you too, because it's good, but it's very deep. Like, so I'm going to read a small part. And so you can understand how it reads. I do suggest, if you do want to be a part of the book of the month, and you can read Song of Solomon in the Bible, because this I got out of my grandmother's library, and so you're probably not going to find this anyway. So Song 7, verse 6. I'm gonna read a very small part because it's very detail oriented, and it's really a study. So, how fair and how pleasant art thou, O love, for delight. She has yielded to him all the delights that his love can desire. Both the king and the daughters of Jerusalem join in united praise of the king's daughter. We have commented on the sentiments expressed in this verse in earlier chapters, and it only remains to see why the Lord should so emphasize these factors again. I think for my own brain's sake, I'm not even going to try to read this in a month, because it's a lot. But book of the month, I felt it was February, so Song of Solomon is a good love story in the Bible. Okay, so next we're going to do announcements. And the first one being that I'm going to be keeping my secret room, like my private place with God. I'm going to be keeping it private. I've shared a lot of my testimony up until this point, and I feel like if I keep sharing my testimony as I'm going through it, the enemy can get a foothold if I tell too much too soon. So I'm going to be keeping my secret place like private for from now on. And y'all, I will testify, like, you will hear about it afterwards, but as I'm going through it, it's hard to explain as I'm going through it anyway. So I don't want to say something that, like, I don't want to give y'all content that is not accurate to what God is trying to teach me because I'm sharing too fast. So from now on, YouTube tribe, I like, it will be content. It's not going to just be like life update, because that's what I do a lot on YouTube. Okay. So, okay. The second announcement is that it's kind of ties into the first announcement. I've been told to keep my mouth shut too, so I'm gonna be obedient and not ruin my blessing and not allow the enemy to steal my blessing. So that's the second announcement. Number 3 is that I have a monthly newsletter. If you've been on TikTok with me, and we're friends, or like you follow me, then you know that the Becoming Affirmation Journal is already out. It's available digitally, and you can, if you're not comfortable with buying it digitally right now, like if you don't trust me like that, which is understandable, then you can still subscribe to my newsletter, and I send like updates, I send encouraging things, whatever God puts on my heart to send in my newsletter. I will do that once a month. So if you're not comfortable with buying the journal yet, then I do still encourage you to sign up for the newsletter, so you can know what's coming next. Number 4, this is a video about vulnerability. So I want to be vulnerable about the fact that I am breaking off a Jezebel spirit from my bloodline. So I know what I'm going through, and I'm very conscious of what I release to my tribe, because I care about how I present myself to you all, and I care about like the spirit behind what I'm doing, because I always want my tribe to see God through me. I'm not Christ. I say Christ-like, but I do want to be honest, and this is a video about vulnerability, so that's something that I just felt like I should mention now. And then that's all the announcements. So let's go ahead and get into the video. I watched it's a Netflix documentary called, where'd it go? It's called A Call to Courage by Brené Brown on Netflix. So that's where I got a lot of this information, and I'm kind of like sharing my viewpoint or how I perceived the message from the Netflix documentary. Now, I'm just going to read it on my notes. I don't really like doing videos like this, but because it's a study and not like just my A-type personality taking over, I had to do notes. So let's see. I watched the documentary January 29th, this year, 2024. I already told you what the name of the documentary was. Feelings hurt is what I wrote first, literally. My heart is 3 times too small. Yeah, it's about vulnerability. So I'm not going to sit here and lie like I enjoy being vulnerable. I don't. It's very difficult, and I do have to put my pride down to be able to be vulnerable and share it with the world. Like, it doesn't feel good to be able to do that. And I'm not going to sit here in front like I got it all together, like, oh, I'm a master at vulnerability. I'm probably the worst at vulnerability, which is why I'm studying up on it and I'm seeking knowledge and I'm trying to heal, because vulnerability is like, it really is a call to courage. It takes a lot to be vulnerable. But I won't go off my notes too much. I'll try not to digress too much, because I know people got to go to work. Like, it's a lot going on. So, mental, spiritual point of view, I just kind of mentioned it, but I realized that I had to bind up the spirit of pride in order to be more vulnerable. And I had to let go. I had to like cast it away from me, because it will take control of you, pride. I do want you all to realize that vulnerability is not something that everyone deserves of you. And she says this in her video, like, if you don't have to be vulnerable with everybody, because everybody doesn't have their best intentions at heart for you, and they don't deserve your vulnerability. Not everybody. You have to find a specific circle. And that's actually my next point: to choose your circle wisely. Don't let your circle choose you or fall trapped to being too loyal to a circle that doesn't better you as a person. So if they're like tearing you down, or you're trying to be vulnerable and share your heart with them or share what you're going through with them, and they're like, okay, or they're just not sensitive to you, that might not be the right person to be vulnerable with. According to Brené Brown's studies, the common denominator with people who practice vulnerability well, they all practice gratitude. So once I heard that, I'm like, thank you, God. I'm so grateful. I am so grateful, because I want to be healed and I want to be better, and I want to be able to receive the love that I desire. So if people that are good at being vulnerable and receiving the things that they desire because of their vulnerability, because they're able to be vulnerable and because they're healed, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. And she said that it's about being grateful. So I'm going to be grateful, because it works. According to study, vulnerability is not weakness, but the cornerstone of courage. And that's the title of the documentary. If you didn't hear, the documentary on Netflix that I studied on vulnerability was by Brené Brown. The video is called Brené Brown, A Call to Courage. The problem: we want to be seen so bad, but are so afraid. And what I realized is that as I'm like mulling over this, why am I not vulnerable enough to receive the love that I desire? And it's because I'm afraid of being seen. And I do have like a social anxiety. So this turning on this live was hard for me, let alone being vulnerable and opening up my heart to a bunch of people I don't even know you like that. So, but what I realized spiritually is that pride was causing fear. So the things that I've been through, the hurt that has been like the hurt that was caused has stopped me from, like, it made me build up pride in me to not want to show like my heart, my vulnerability, like my soft parts to people. But what I didn't realize at like beforehand was that because I was becoming prideful, pride let fear in, okay? And then I'm mad because fear let anger in, and fear stops us from letting love in because you're afraid to be loved because you've been hurt before. But fear let anger in, so now I'm angry that I don't have the love that I desire because I'm fearful, but I don't realize I'm fearful because, it's warfare at the same time. So I don't know. You gotta let that stuff go, man. If you really want God to bless you with the blessing, you gotta let it go. Let pride, let things of the enemy go. and God will be able to bless you because you'll be in the position to be blessed. Not to say that like, not to say that he's not going to bless you because you're not perfect. Like, he's not waiting for you to be perfect, but you do have to let certain things go to receive certain things, because God's not going to send, for me personally, it's people that I want to be sent into my life. That's from God though. Like, so God's not going to send the right people in if I'm still hurting, and if I'm in a unhealed place enough to bleed on them, when God is sending people into my life so I can help them, shine light upon them, and like vice versa. But I'm worried about my part, you know? So that's all the notes that I took basically, and the rest of the video is like a reflection. So, how many experiences have not been permitted due to lack of healing and inability to be vulnerable? And that's a question that I have for you. Like, that's a question that you should ask yourself. It's accountability time. This is the accountability part of the video. So, how many experiences have not been permitted due to lack of healing and inability to be vulnerable? How many experiences have you, like, pushed away from you? I'll say it that way. How many experiences have you pushed away? How many times has somebody tried to come in and love on you, but you weren't able to receive it because you're not being vulnerable enough and you're not healed enough to receive it? It's a question you need to ask yourself. And how many experiences were you not vulnerable enough to handle the other party with care? So how many times has somebody come to you being vulnerable and looking for you to be like a safe place for them to be vulnerable, but you weren't vulnerable enough yourself to even allow that person to share that connection with you? It's a healing process. So I have a testimony that I don't really want to share, but it is it is in my notes, and it is a vulnerability video. So I'm going to give you an example basically of how I was not being vulnerable and how it has delayed me from my promise. And I know it has, because the promise is not here and I'm just now getting the healing, which is why I'm sharing the healing, and which is why I feel like I couldn't record this as a regular video. Like, it had to be live. The enemy was messing up my phone. Like, I couldn't record it. So I feel like it had to be live because it is more vulnerable this way. But the testimony, I don't want to share. I had a dream / vision of me and my husband in the dream, okay? And I was not vulnerable enough to allow him to be vulnerable in this vision or dream. And he was talking and like trying to be vulnerable with me, telling me like how he feels about his situation. And I cut him off like, I don't even understand. That's what I said in the dream. Like, I don't even understand why you did that anyway. That's what I said in the dream. And I'm like, thinking back as I'm healing, thinking back to that dream or vision, I should not have been like that. And that's probably, I'm glad, I'll say it this way, I'm glad that he isn't here in person, because I, like, that would have probably messed up our relationship if it was real life. So that's like what I wanted to share. I don't like sharing my testimony. I don't like sharing my dreams or visions, which is why I'm keeping my secret place private. Just, I don't like giving the enemy a foothold in my life. But it's in the notes, and it's a video on vulnerability, so I shared it. Let me get some water. Thanks for joining in, by the way. I see you all. I'm glad you're here, and I hope this is really helping you, blessing you, and starting your Friday off right. What are y'all about to do today? I'm not doing nothing. I'm going to relax after this. Okay. So I do have homework. Um, you have to do the work. If you want the healing, you have to do the work. So I don't have like, it's not homework how you would expect it, but it's homework because it's a healing process. So I'm going to tell you what I learned from Brené Brown on what healed feminine and what healed masculine and what unhealed feminine and what unhealed masculine looks like. Awesome. I'm glad it can help. Um, and don't beat yourself up. Like, it's a process. So, okay, unhealed feminine, we'll start with unhealed and then we'll go back up to healed. So, society tells us the societal norm of what vulnerability looks like in a feminine unhealed woman is is it's you're all about body image. If I don't want to say it like that because I'm not saying you are. I'm saying an unhealed feminine is all about body image. That's that's her main focus, or he, I don't know. But it that's why I said feminine and not women, because just um, that's the world we live in. But feminine unhealed is all about body image. Masculine unhealed doesn't want to be perceived as weak. So it's a good way to like see if you're a woman and you're looking at a masculine, or if you're a feminine and you're looking at a masculine. An unhealed masculine looks like someone who doesn't want to be perceived as weak. If you see that, then he is probably not healed in their vulnerability. An unhealed feminine is all about body image, and that's what society wants us to be like, which is a shame. But feminine, like, it's, you can see it in the music industry, especially. You can see it. It's all about the body. Like, if you're not talking about the body, nobody's buying your stuff. Okay. But that's unhealed. Like, from her studies, this lady is well studied, more than me. But that's from her studies. Like, that's what society tells you, that you should be focused on body image, but they're not telling you that that's an unhealed version of feminine in vulnerability. Like, vulnerable women only talk about their, or unvulnerable women only talk about their body. Let's go to healed. Healed feminine in their vulnerability doesn't derive power or status from him, like as him as a man. So feminine, a healed feminine doesn't derive, means to obtain from a specified source. So a healed feminine doesn't obtain from man power or status. Healed feminine does not get validation from man. Like, a healed feminine is not looking for and when I say man, I mean mankind. Like, you're not looking for validation from other people. A healed feminine, I'm Christian, so to me a healed feminine looks like seeking validation. How that translates in my mind is that you're seeking validation from Christ and not from mankind. Like, the people around you can't really validate you the way Christ can, and it's healed if you're not trying to obtain power or status from the world around you. Okay, so a healed masculine is someone who, without trying to fix anything, just listens. So without trying to fix anything, he just listens, and that's a good sign of him being healed in his vulnerability. So that's all I have for you today. That's the whole video. That's all the notes. The documentary on Netflix is called Brené Brown, A Call to Courage. So if you're healing in your vulnerability, I hope this video helps you. I hope you all have a good day, everybody that was with me live, and God bless. I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Okay, I don't know how to hang up, so